Okay, again, we've got breaking news for you. It just now came out. We heard about it, but now we're getting the details. President Obama making a huge announcement on gun control today. What we've learned is that the ATF has clarified guidance on this. Just about everyone selling a gun now, you must get a license. You must also perform a background check. It means if you're selling online, if you're at a gun show or a store, it does not matter. If you're someone who's selling as few as just 2 guns, it applies to you. All right, guys, let's talk about this some more. One of the things, initially before the breaking news, we were going to talk about big government in this segment because one of the overarching things that connects every theme that we talk about these days, from who's winning on both sides, you know, the enthusiasm for Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, to what's happening in Oregon, to this. I mean, it's all about big government. Now this is the ultimate sign of that, guys. President Obama is really taking a stand here, whether you like it or not, and he'll probably end this presidency making a huge dent, or putting a huge dent, Bo, in the Second Amendment.
You know, again, I go back to Obamacare. I talked to some major doctors. This thing's going to be wiped out in 1 year. This is what this president's trying to do, take big government, but it's not working. Now he's trying to think with the gun control. It's not working. Why don't you do something progressive and go after the gangs with ATF and the FBI, get into our inner cities, get those guns off the street that are killing our kids there. Do something progressive, Mr. Obama. You're not doing anything by this gun control stuff.
Using these executive actions to go around Congress, no matter what side you're on, you should be uncomfortable with that, because the next president, even if you're a Democrat, you might not like the things the next president's going to want to do. So it's something that we need to be very careful with, very on top of, and we've got to go to the courts if we have to. You know, Mark,
it's so interesting because President Obama is really quick to point out any sort of poll that that supports his position, and yet he's extraordinarily tone deaf, or just ignores overwhelming evidence that the American public doesn't want him to do anything. And I think he's picked the wrong issue. Nevertheless, he's taking this stand. I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I believe 2016 is going to be marked as a year of extraordinary decisions by President Obama that cuts out the Constitution and cuts out the Congress. And I don't think the GOP is going to do anything about it.
Unfortunately, you're right. They're just going to mark time until he's gone. And, you know, he's consistent for sure, Charles. He's very, very consistent. He's the most cavalier man ever to be in the White House. But if you take a look at it, ever since January of 2011, when the Republicans took over Congress, the president stopped working with Congress as soon as Democrats no longer controlled it. And what has he done? Especially as he's sort of on his way out the door, he's going to use regulations like he has with the EPA. He's going to use executive actions, any power, even that he doesn't have, possible, he's going to apply. I don't think we've seen anything yet. You're right. It's the tip of the iceberg. He's got another year to wreak havoc through regulation, through executive actions, especially on immigration, on climate change, and, of course, on gun control. He's going to go for broke, and he's going to do it any way possible. And the result will be when a Republican takes office in January of 2017, he or she is going to be very, very busy reversing all of these executive actions and regulations.
How do you sell a gun now, guys? I mean, again, it says if you're conducting your business from a store, gun show, or over the internet, you are in the business of selling firearms and must get a license and conduct background checks. I'm just trying to sell a couple of guns. Now I got to do all of this stuff?
I don't know. It's kind of impossible. But all I know is when President Trump becomes the president, I want to be the Obama slasher. Every one of these fool things that he's done, I want to be able to slash it.
Well,
this guy's on a roll.
He's on a roll. It's incredibly hard to do. I mean, if you look at something like the Clean Power Plan, which is another executive action, you have the House voting against it. You have the Senate voting against it. Obama vetoes it. You have the majority of states now challenging it in court.
All the regulatory stuff that
I think it is pretty hard to
I do think, and I want to Heather on this, the bottom line, I think, ultimately, is this always comes back to the courts. Yeah. And, you know, one thing we don't hear about is how important this election is with respect to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Absolutely.
I mean, this will set the tone for where America goes legally for maybe decades.
No doubt about it. I don't think there's any president in recent history that has been able to likely appoint as many Supreme Court justices as the future president will. And we see where that affects us with abortion, gun control. Every single issue that we talk about daily is going to be impacted by who's in that Supreme Court.
All right, guys, let's leave it there. I really appreciate it. Well, China, let's say they had a hiccup, a real big hiccup. We actually opened down 467 points. We came off the lows. I even did some buying today. I'm going to tell you what you should do to stay the course. We'll be right back.